Take a trip around the curve. Baby, Warner Brothers set the internet on fire by letting go a plethora of key TCM executives. In addition to that, they are in talks to license HBO original content series over to Netflix. Spielberg, Scorsese, and Paul Thomas Anderson set an emergency meeting with Warner CEO David Zaslav, and in the meantime, TCM will be overseen by Warner Brothers Pictures bosses Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi. Crazy Rich Asians star Jean Lucy is set to lead the ITV drama Red Eye. WGA West President Meredith Stein is seeking re-election amid strike. Girl, go ahead. DGA members ratify new film and TV contract by 87% of a vote. Reservation Dogs and Letterkenny star Kanihilto Horn announces cast and start of production for her feature directorial debut Seeds. Wicked Part 2 flies away from Avatar 3, shifting release date to Thanksgiving. Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells are headed to Broadway in Gutenberg the Musical. Jason Momoa is kicking off Discovery Channel's Shark Week, Sunday, July 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Ryan Murphy is leaving Netflix, y'all, and he is in talks to return to Disney. Marvel Studios is skipping Comic-Con's Hall H this year, I know, but will have some sort of presence at the convention. Amazon sued the FTC, who claims that the tech giant tricked and trapped customers with Prime subscription tactics. Bad Bunny Spider-Man Universe movie El Muerto is pulled from the Sony release schedule, and Mark Burnett is in talks to launch his next production venture following his departure from Amazon-owned MGM. Billy Crystal, Queen Latifah, Dionne Warwick are among the 46th Annual Kennedy Center honor recipients. Succession star Kieran Culkin signed with WME. Olivia Colman, Antonio Banderas, Rachel Zegler, and Emily Mortimer are set to join Paddington in Peru. Book Club The Next Chapter is available on digital June 30th and Blu-ray and DVD on July 11th. Former Hollywood agent Michael Keyes took $700 million from Sam Bankman-Fried for investment firm, a lawsuit says. Today on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, we have interviews with the cast and director from the intersex documentary Everybody, Oscar nominee Julie Delphi from The Lesson, Liza Koshy from Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, and the long-awaited review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is coming up all right now.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know, shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, a.k.a. The Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know, shooting straight from the hip.
Hey, what's happening? Oh man, I look a mess. It's been a busy week, y'all. Everybody is anticipating the SAG strike happening. So there has been, my head is swimming. I don't even know how many junkets I've been to in the last 3 or 4 days. But hi, I'm Carla Renata, and you have tuned into The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I'm your host. And what we do here is we do interviews with talent above and below the line in the film industry, and we do some reviews along the way. I have a packed show for you today, so I'm not going to waste any time because I did come up a little late. But I always tell you what I did the week before. So this week I was at a lot of junkets. And I did do a couple of things, but I think I'll hit that toward the end of the show because I haven't had a chance to upload those photos yet. But let's get into the first thing, shall we? So, let me just tell you what we're going to talk about today. I'm so frazzled. So let me just tell you what we're talking about today. But before I do that, let me get into these comments. Brandon is in the house, and Brandon said he's going to be seeing the DreamWorks new movie Ruby Gillman on Thursday. I got a review for that. I have a review about that for you today, Brandon. So stay tuned. And he also told me that he can't wait for Nimona on Netflix this week. His 2 animated movies to watch. I got you on both of those tips. All right. So having said all of that, let's get into this first film, shall we? I saw there's a documentary. Well, first of all, one of my favorite filmmakers is this filmmaker named Julie Cohen. And if that name sounds familiar, she's an Academy Award nominated director for RBG. She did a documentary about Julia Child. She has a plethora of documentaries, Gabby Giffords. So most of her documentaries center around women, strong women. They're always female-centric stories. And this time she has a documentary called Everybody, literally everybody, that centers on the intersex community. And I thought that this would be a great way to start out the show today, since we are nearing the end of Pride Month. And I did very little to spotlight that, unlike when I normally do, because I've been extremely, distracted and busy. But I wanted to highlight everybody and talk about Julie Cohen and this particular documentary. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful doc. I will talk about it after this interview that I have with her and her documentary subject. So without further ado, I'm gonna stop running my mouth and let y'all listen to this interview, or take a look and listen to this interview with the documentary subjects of Everybody and its director, Julie Cohen.
Carla, the makeup. Wow.
I had to come
your own bead?
y'all,
You did this yourself?
Of course I did.
So
Wow.
River, you should know that Carla comes from the theater world.
Oh, right.
So adding to the
darling, I'm a theater doll.
Adding to the drama, all of it.
All of it, yes.
Just let the two of y'all chat.
Right.
Y'all are hilarious. Julie, honey, you have done it again. You know how much I adore you. You have done it again. So let me just give everybody their props. I gave Julie hers. River, I just want to applaud you on being part of the Ryan Murphy Initiative and the Berlini, I think that's how you pronounce it, Talent Fellow, and the Sundance Trans Possibilities Institute Intensive.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dawn, I want to applaud you for your work with Interact.
Oh yeah, that's right.
and your your new project, Letters to an Unborn Son. I want to talk to you about that. And Alicia, last but not least, girl, let me tell you something. I really love the fact that you were on that bathroom bill tip, because not too long ago, there was a time when Black people weren't allowed to go to bathrooms. So I get it.
Our state legislator in Texas, Senfronia Thompson, who we lovingly call Miss T, she's one of just a tiny handful of Black women legislators in Texas. She said it's never been about bathrooms. It's always been about discrimination.
So I met Alicia and Saifa through the web of the Intersex Mafia on Instagram a few years ago when I came out as intersex in 2017, and we kept in touch. We saw each other sporadically throughout that time because we all live in different parts of the country. In the summer of 2021, Saifa and Alicia were organizing a protest at Weill Cornell against the Dr. Dick's Papas, and they asked me to come. And I had never been to an intersex protest before. I think it was the summer after the George Floyd protests and the BLM protests, and I was just on one. And they asked me to speak, and I took that megaphone, and I was like, I had a lot to say. I kind of popped off, and Julie took note of that. And Saifa and Alicia had already been the two subjects of the film, and they were looking for the third. And at first I wrestled with the decision to be part of it, just because I wasn't sure about how much of my personal life I wanted to divulge into a documentary, just because I'm an actor and I wanted to maintain an air of mystery about myself. But I knew as an activist, whenever there's an opportunity to do something for the community, I'm just called to do it. It's an act of service for me, the way I see it, and sharing my story is a way that I can offer the world my perspective in the intersex rights movement. And so I just I had to be a part of it, and I'm so grateful I did, because it was just truly a wonderful experience.
I overstand. Alicia.
Yeah, so I was the first one to connect with Julie about this project. She had found out about our movement through her prior work on the RBG documentary, and having consulted with our intersex friend Shauna, who co-authored the book RBG. And I come from a political background. As you mentioned, the bathroom bill. Before that, I started my political work with a woman named Wendy Davis, who became famous as a state senator in the state of Texas, where she filibustered for 15 plus hours on the floor of the Texas Senate to kill a piece of legislation that would have outlawed access to abortion many years before it was finally stripped of us this past year. And through working with Wendy, I was given a platform in the feminist movement long before I even knew the word intersex or found that piece of my story. But the way that I found my way out of the closet was through reading another intersex person's story, a model named Hannah, who is now a friend of ours as well. And when Hannah shared their story, it really compelled me to share mine. And I think Julie has done incredible work showcasing stories of gender equity, stories of political activism, from RBG to her more recent profile of former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. And so she's a credible voice in this space. And also we really trust her. I almost worked on another film with a very prominent journalist who has her own film production company, but the whole thing felt exploitative. And I ended up backing out of the project. And as intersex people, we are forced to exploit ourselves on the daily, sharing pieces about our personal lives that most people never have to, nor should have to. And so being able to work with someone like Julie that not only has credibility that she could lend to our work, but also real kindness and compassion in a way that we trusted her. And yes, she's our director, but I think now lovingly is also our Auntie Julie. It was really a pleasure to get to work with her and to get to continue to work with her on this.
And Saifa, would you mind telling me how you came to the project?
Yeah, so Julie had tagged Alicia, and then Alicia was like, here's some people you speak to. One of them is Sean Cypher Wall. So Julie hit me up, and I think we were both kind of feeling each other out, and it just came to me that you had sent me a link to My Name is Paulie Murray, and I watched that, and I was like, I'm here for it. And so, yeah, I think, I've done my fair share of media stuff, and I've said this in other interviews. I think media can feel gross, and exploitative. And I feel like, that Julie came with, a certain degree of integrity, and kindness, but also just a real person. There wasn't a lot of airs about her, that for me and my values, there was something there that I can really trust. So that's why I think it worked out for me to be a part of this project.
I think we can all agree that Julie is a bad mama jamma. We can all agree on that.
I'm the only one here that's old enough to be able to sing that whole song to you, which I could right now. I think Carl Carlson is the name of the artist, but I'm not gonna do that. Just as bad as I can be, but I'm not gonna do it.
I love that you remember who the artist is. That is hilarious. In a little bit of time that I have left, I'm pretty sure I know why you did this. But why did you name the film Everybody? I'm pretty sure it's because of everybody.
This story is about something very specific. It's about the struggle for intersex rights that, frankly, a lot of our audience is going to be a little bit or very ignorant about. So we wanted a title that felt really inclusive, which we think the film is, and that felt kind of positive and sent, you see the yellow behind me, felt like a little bit of, there's going to be some sunshine here. Yes, these are stories that involve some pain and trauma, but there's also some love and some sunshine. I've been doing journalism and films for many, many years. I've done all kinds of stuff. I started out in the true crime space. One of the things that I'm always looking for, honestly, is to tell stories that are loving. And I felt a lot of love in this movement, and hope that we've been able to create a film that has a loving feeling to it and that can bring out some love from audiences as well.
One thing I'll add, and I was not the one to title this movie, but what we're fighting for affects everybody. Body autonomy affects everyone, whether it's the reversal of Roe versus Wade, the attacking of the healthcare for trans children, whether it be the maternal mortality rate for Black women in Texas and the South more broadly. The fight for body autonomy is all the same. So even if you've never heard of intersex, I think watching the movie, you'll start to understand that we're all involved in the same struggle.
Listen, I think we are all on the same page. We saw progress happen last night at the Tonys with 2 non-binary people winning Tony Awards in the Best Actor categories. So I think we're all on the right track. Thank you so very much, each and every last one of you, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And Julie, I'll see you sooner than later.
Yes, I'm going to be there soon. So maybe we'll try to get together in a couple weeks. I'm coming out there for a thing, so maybe we can have a rendezvous as we do.
I would love that. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Carla.
I love Julie Cohen. She keeps it real. So let me tell you a little bit about this Everybody doc. As you saw in the interview, I interviewed Alicia, who is very active in the political standpoint of it, River Gallo, who is an activist, and Cypher Wall, who is an activist. So the documentary deals with people who are intersex. And if you don't know what intersex is, basically it is a human being that has both organs, that has both a vagina and a penis, and or they will have a vagina but nothing attached to that, and or they'll have a vagina and their testicles are on the inside. It's very, very complicated. But this particular community is the I in the LGBTQIA. The I is intersex. These particular individuals can feel so alone and so isolated because they are looked at as monstrous freaks. there was a term that was used to describe them called hermaphrodite back in the day. And there's an estimated 1.7% of the population that actually has some intersex traits. Now, I had never heard of intersex. I didn't know anything about it before I saw this film. Also, about 0.7% intersex traits are so significant that they may be referred for surgery. That's 230,000 Americans that are intersex. And how this works is there's an XY chromosome, which is for a male. There's an XX chromosome, which is for a woman. So there are 46 human chromosomes. I know, stay with me. If you are intersex, in a lot of instances, you are not born with a womb or ovaries. You're born with internal testes, like I just mentioned. And the procedure, the surgical procedure that I spoke of, deals with the removal of testes, which leaves a vagina on the outside. Now, I know that sounds very, very confusing, and Julie does an excellent job of breaking all of this down in her documentary, Everybody. So I just want to make you aware of what the subject matter is. She talks a lot about a doctor named Dr. Money, who was an expert on hermaphrodites. And what they would do is they would convince a family, they would know upon birth what the sex is. And when someone was born intersex, they would put non-applicable on the birth certificate because they would leave it up to the parents to identify the sex. And so we end up with a situation where people know in their core of their being that they may have been born a girl, but they have that male testosterone flowing throughout their veins. And there was one person in particular, I think his name was David. Let me just find it real quick. Bear with me. I think his name was David. Yes, his name was David. And his parents decided to give him, assign him to be a female. And he was tortured his whole entire life. He ultimately ended up taking his life. But I'm not going to sit here and go through the whole entire documentary for you, but I did want to explain to you what intersex meant so that when you go into this documentary, you'll be a little more educated than I was when I went into it, because I knew absolutely nothing. It is directed by Julie Cohen, Oscar nominated Julie Cohen. And I'm telling you, this is a documentary that you don't want to miss. I'll tell you a little bit more about where to find it toward the end of the show. Let's talk about Nimona. I loved Nimona. Nimona is on Netflix. Let me show you a picture of Nimona, because Nimona is just way too cute. She's just a cutie pie. So Nimona is going to be streaming on Netflix. And basically, it's directed by Troy Kwan and Nick Bruno. It's on Netflix right now, 6/23. It's there right now. It deals with a knight who's framed for a crime he didn't commit, and the only person who can help prove his innocence is Nimona, a shape-shifting teen who might also be a monster he's sworn to kill. Baby, they are shape-shifting into whales and cats. It's a hilarious, fun action adventure animation project. They have a great rock soundtrack with a mix of 90s, like George Michael and with Careless Whisper. And there's even the Banana Splits theme song in there, which gave me a lot of pleasure. If you don't know what the Banana Splits are with a Z, look it up. And the basic premise of this is, and this comes up in a couple of themes that I've seen for children. The basic premise of it is, to be accepted for who you are and not for what people want you to be. That is the premise of Nimona. It is wonderful. I had so much fun watching this, and I'm an adult. So I'm thinking that the kids are really, really going to dig it. It's a lot of fun. Again, it is streaming on Netflix right now. Another film that I loved is, I saw this during Sundance. It's called The Stroll. It's on HBO. It's directed by Kristen Lovell and Zachary Drucker. It's the history of New York's meatpacking district, told from the perspective of transgender workers who lived and worked there. They recount the violence, the policing, the gentrification that led to a movement for transgender rights. When I tell you, I remember the meatpacking district when I lived in New York. I remember it very, very well. And I remember it was a scary place to be. Baby, you did not, in the 90s, early 2000s, you did not want to be down in the meatpacking district. It was shady as hell down there. You definitely didn't want to be down there by yourself. I remember I was down there by myself one time and it was dark and I was scared shitless. Let me check some of these comments before I keep talking. Yes, Brandon said he can't wait for that. And then Brandon also said he can't wait for the new Disney animated show in the fall called Primos. Hey, when I see Carmena, hey, how you doing? Hi. I'm not Carmina. Okay, well, who are you? You have a friend named Carmina. Okay. So your real name is Emily. All right, got it. Well, hello, Emily. Thank you for joining me and welcome. I appreciate you. Oh boy, that was a lot going on there. Anywho, oops, I clicked the wrong button. There we go. So anywho, let's finish talking about these movies. So again, let me get rid of Emily's comment. There we go. So again, check out Nimona. It's streaming on Netflix. Before I get into Liza Koshy, I said I was going to tell you about what I did last week, and I'm going to do that. So last night, actually, I went to see this friend of mine. His name is Norm Lewis. If his face looks familiar, you have seen him on Scandal. He was one of the few Black men who played the Phantom. The other one was Oba Babatunde in Phantom of the Opera. He was in Les Miserables. He played Javert. He is a Broadway legend. He's Tony nominated for his role as Porgy and Porgy and Bess. And now he is starring in a touring production of a soldier's play written by Charles Fuller. It is doing its last performance as we speak at the Amundsen Theater here in Los Angeles right now. But if you are in the Los Angeles area and you did not get a chance to see a soldier's play, Norm Lewis will be back in a couple of weeks doing a Broadway tribute to Stephen Sondheim with a plethora of people whose names and voices that you know and love. And this is me and him last night after his performance. We go so far back, and I'm so very proud of him and what he's been able to accomplish. Let me talk about TCM real quick before I get to the next thing too. TCM let go. Well, TCM is now owned by Warner Brothers, which I told you guys earlier this year when I went to the Turner Classic Film Festival, Turner Classic Movie Film Festival. They had just been acquired by Warner Brothers. And since that time, David Zaslav, who is the CEO over there, has been making people get whiplash, turning their heads every 2 seconds with some of his decisions for the network. And one of his decisions, he literally got rid of anybody and everybody that has anything to do with the day-to-day operation of Turner Classic Movies, including the people who curate and plan the film festival, the cruises, and all the special events that people who are fans of classic film love. It's very disconcerting. It's very crazy, and it is going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. I told you a little bit about it and Around the Curve. If you tuned in late and you missed that, please rewind and see that so that you can get more information on that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the show. So let's talk a little bit about Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, because this movie is a lot of fun. So I saw this movie. It comes out on June 30th, which is this week. And it basically, Ruby is this little sweet, awkward high school student who discovers she's a direct descendant of the warrior Kraken queens, which basically means if she gets wet, her tentacles come out. It's a whole situation. It's kind of like the Little Mermaid, but in a different kind of vein. And the Kraken are sworn to protect the oceans of the world against the vain, power-hungry mermaids. So it's not the Little Mermaid, because they are, in this version of a story, the mermaids are not lovely. Destined to inherit the throne from her commanding grandmother, Ruby, who's played by Jane Fonda. Ruby must use her newfound powers to protect those she loves the most. This is what I love about everybody. Ooh, I'm still on Everybody, child. I love that documentary. This is what I love about Ruby Gillman. It's fun. It is a lot of fun. Kids are going to love it. There's some dance moves. Ruby, again, it's one of those stories about embracing who you are and not caring what other people think about you. Just because you are different, just because you beat to a different, just because your heart has a different kind of beat, and you move into a different kind of drum beat. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do that. It's that thing that makes you different, that makes you unique, and it's that thing that makes you unique that makes you interesting. So having said that, one person who was hella interesting is Miss Liza Koshy. Liza Koshy, I first saw her, I said this to her in the interview. I don't know if I put this in or not, but during the pandemic, I saw Liza Koshy on Live with Ryan and Kelly when Ryan Seacrest was still hosting, and she came sliding down this banister, and I was like, that is my kind of doll, because she got energy, and I love her for it. But without further ado, I'm gonna let her tell you more about Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Take a look and a listen to this interview with Liza Koshy.
Yes,
Miss Liza.
Silent cell phones. Yes, Miss Carla.
I remember you vividly when during the pandemic, I was watching Live with Ryan and Kelly.
Oh my gosh.
And they introduced you, and the camera panned to you, and you slid down a stairwell.
Yes,
I'm like, that is my kind of girl.
Yes, I did. Listen, they gave me a trophy for that. Okay, I worked for that.
Did they really?
Yeah, they have like best entrance at the end of the year. They have an award ceremony, and I won that one.
Okay, that is
Thank you.
hilarious.
Thank you.
Having said that, the theme of this film seems to be how to embrace what is uniquely you.
Yes.
And I want to know, how do you feel about now being uniquely you and being, given an animated character that's going to be yours for all of posterity?
She is so unique, and one, it is an honor and a full childhood dream full circle to come about for me, because I grew up watching DreamWorks, as we all did. So to be this unique, funky, like pattern blocking, pink-haired character in a DreamWorks film is just an honor. So she is definitely unique. She's a theater kid. She loves the stage. She loves the spotlight. She could direct, act, and produce her own biopic. She loves to have a good time, and she loves to create an even better time for her friends. She's the best friend that you could ask for.
Were you a theater kid?
I was not. My sister was, though. I was a dancer. So you saw that entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And actually for this film, fun story, Kelly Clooney, a producer on our film, she wanted to animate my dance moves. So there is some crazy videos on her camera roll of me dancing in my own home, that exact spot during the pandemic, that she has in her camera roll, that Margot is basically doing the same dance moves that I do at the very end of the film.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw it?
I did. I was like, that looks a little like a
They're
little,
built the same. Hold on a second.
I remember reading something about you describing your group of friends, and you described them as a group of Skittles.
They're the rainbow pack of Skittles, the tropical edition. Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, it's kind of like us right now. Like, we both got the neon theme going on, and we're both, expressive human beings.
Yes.
So you would fit perfectly in my friend group, okay?
I know this.
Are you a fire sign?
No, girl, I'm a Virgo.
I'm an Aries Virgo. The double Virgs. The double Virgs.
We here.
But that's the same. Me and my friends, we're all here with each other, and we are this like rainbow pack of Skittles, because I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised and proud, and it's the most diverse city in the nation, and we have this massive pack, this wolf pack of everybody from different backgrounds. So like every side of the world is represented in my group of friends, and I'm so lucky because they're a bunch of theater kids like myself and dancer kids like myself. Yeah.
If you were to describe your role in this film with one word, what would you say?
One word?
One word. Not a phrase, one word.
Loud. And we're going to rebrand that word, okay? Because it has a negative connotation, but loud is proud, okay? With a different letter in front of it.
So you're going to go with the J-Lo, let's get loud.
Get loud. Let's get loud. I don't think she's going to charge us.
Oh, well, yeah, she will. Oh, right. You're right about that. You're right about that. I think that is my time, girl.
Thank you. You are a good time. Thank you for this time.
So
I appreciate
are you.
it.
I have been waiting for this.
Oh.
Waiting, because I knew you were going to be the ish.
Yes, you are the ish too. Ish recognizes ish. It's a kid's movie.
Get out of here, girl. I know. I can't say that.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Listen, I love me some Liza Koshy. Yes, girl, I am in your pack of Skittle friends. So let me just reiterate what I talked about, you guys. I was going to do the lesson today, and I was going to do the league today, but I think I'm going to save that for next week. Because I came on really late, and I just don't want to take any more of you guys' time. So again, check out Nimona. It is streaming now on Netflix. Check out Liza Koshy, and Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. It hits theaters on June 30th. It is a DreamWorks joint. And check out Everybody, which is the Julie Cohen directed documentary about everybody. All right, so last but not least, I know y'all have tuned in for this, Indiana Jones. I loved me some Indiana Jones. This picture is from opening night. On the far left is John Williams. In the middle, of course, is Harrison Ford. Standing next to John Williams on your left is George Lucas, who created this franchise. Kathleen Kennedy is standing to Harrison Ford's right, and the rest of the people are some other producers in the franchise. This one is called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. His leading lady in this one is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she is doing all the things. So let me give you a precursor to what it is about. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is dropping in theaters on June 30th. It's directed by James Mangold. This is the last film in the Indiana Jones franchise, and it deals with our favorite daredevil archaeologist, Indiana Jones, played by our beloved Harrison Ford, who races against time to retrieve a legendary dial that can change the course of history, accompanied by his goddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who soon finds himself squaring off against Jürgen Böhler, a former Nazi who works for NASA. Let me tell y'all something. There have been many, many comments about this film and much to do and much to say, but this is what I'm going to tell you. It's very simple. If you are a fan of Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, you are going to get your entire life like I did. I lived my entire life watching Indiana Jones. It is classic Indiana Jones. Classic Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is doing stunts. He is doing the damn thing. And if you're going to go out, my man is going out in style. Okay? Harrison is doing all the things. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a wonderful adversary. He always has a female lead who is a little bit of an adversary, and they end up connecting toward the end. But at the end of the day, they tie the whole thing up. They bring somebody very special back. I don't want to say who it is, but they bring someone very special back who ties Indy's story into a nice little bow. And it just warmed my heart. And it's part of my childhood, and now it's part of my adulthood. And it's great action adventure, summer fun for 2023. And as we get into another phase where we may not be able to see new content for a while, take the kids, take your friends, and just go see Indiana Jones. It's produced by 20th Century Pictures, starring Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Next week, I'm going to talk about The Lesson, like I said, which stars Julie Delpy, and I have an interview with her. And I'm going to talk about this film called The League. It deals with the Negro Baseball League. And I'm also going to have the entire cast of Joyride, which is a brand new movie coming out. It's like an Asian version of Girls Trip and Bridesmaid, but baby, it is hella funny. I laughed my booty off. It's so good. It stars Stephanie Shu, Cherry, Sherry Cola, Sabrina Wu, and Ashley Park. They are hysterical. So I'll have the whole cast of Joyride. I'll have The Lesson. I'll have The League. I'm going to review Earth Mama and Biosphere with my favorite person, Sterling K. Brown and Mark Duplass. And then the week after that, right after July 4th, I'm going to have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I spoke with the director, Christopher McQuarrie, about that. I'm going to do a review of The Theater Camp, The Miracle Club, Bird Box Barcelona, The YouTube Effect, and Black Ice. And then around July 16th, we're going to review Barbie, Oppenheimer, They Clone Tyrone, and Stephen Curry, Underrated. And to close out July, we're going to do Justice League Warworld, Once Upon a Time in Uganda, Kokomo City, and Haunted Mansion. So if this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for joining me for the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click that bell for notifications if you were on YouTube. Oh, and let me just say this. Everybody that is on YouTube, thank you so much for clicking on my podcast and taking me over 4 million views. I so appreciate you. Thank you so very, very much. I am so excited. And I've got, I think, over 6,500 subscribers now. Thank you. Thank you so very much. So having said that, let me see if there's any more comments before I get up out of here. Brandon says, what I love about Ruby Gilman so far is this animation style. I love the look of Ruby's arms and legs are like those rubber hose characters like the classic cartoons, and the visuals look stunning. Brandon, the visuals are stunning, and you're exactly right. The rubberness in the arms is beautifully done, and it's very bright and very, very animated, but you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. So having said that, again, take a look and listen. Take it light. Have a great week. I'll see you next week with the cast of Joyride. You don't want to miss that one because we had a really, really good time. So until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease, baby, and deuces. Bye.